Hey friends, Ash here with Gents, and today I'm coming back at you with the fragrance review of this bad boy right here, Creed Viking. And keeping me company in this video is my Duff energy drink, not beer. I don't know how many of you out there watch The Simpsons or have watched The Simpsons, but just thought I'd show that to you. I thought it was kind of cool, even though it has absolutely nothing to do with this fragrance. So yeah, today I'm going to be taking a look at Creed Viking. This one, of course, came out a couple years ago and was extremely hyped before it was released, and we'll talk a little bit about that in the video. We're going to go over the presentation. I'll break down the fragrance, let you know what I think about it, let you know if I think it's something that you should check out or not, and we'll also be giving away a $50 gift card to maxaroma.com in this video. So let's jump right into this. Before we go any further into this video, I need to let you know that this was sent to me for review by maxaroma.com, though that does not affect my opinion on the fragrance at all, like always. Let's go ahead and check out this presentation really quickly, and then we'll jump into the rest of the fragrance. So here's a close-up of the box. Of course, you're going to notice a similarity in terms of the presentation with Aventus, although this is red rather than black. Here's a quick look at the top of the box and a look at the back of the box as well. And on the bottom here is where you're going to find your batch code. In case you couldn't make it out too clearly there, the batch code here is 18B as in boy 01. So this bottle of Creed Viking is from 2018. And here's a good look at the bottle for Creed Viking, which personally I think looks really, really nice. On the top of the cap, you have your Creed crest. Here's a quick look at the back of the bottle and a quick look at the bottom of the bottle as well. And this particular bottle actually has the batch code etched into the bottom of the bottle right here, etched into the glass. One thing with Creed bottles is that batch code could be a number of different places. Depending on what the batch code is, it could be printed on somewhere, it could be etched on somewhere. I've seen them along the bottom right here. I've seen them on the actual bottom of the bottle here. Depending on what fragrance type we're talking about, I've seen it on the glass along the bottom of the bottle here. I mean, it can be a lot of different places. There are a bunch of videos out there showing you how to tell fake Creed bottles from authentic Creed bottles, so I'm not going to spend too much time going over that here because that would take the entire video to point out all the different things to look for. And I'll go ahead and waste one spray with you guys, and with this one, instead of spraying it into the air, I'm going to spray it right onto my hand. There we go. It is a Creed atomizer. It's good. Some people prefer this atomizer style that you'll find on the newer bottles. I actually prefer the older style. I'll grab one really quickly. So this is my bottle of Green Irish Tweed, one of my bottles, and you'll see the different atomizer here. Yeah, see how that one looks? That one they used to call the old Creed fire hose or fire hose nozzle atomizers because of how much they sprayed out and how easy it was to control them. And here's a close-up of how they look now so you can see the difference there. The old bottles, the caps did not click into place, and sometimes they would just slide right off. They didn't hold in very well. Oftentimes it was kind of hit or miss. You never knew when you ordered a Creed whether the cap would fit on there snugly or not, but now they click into place. All right, Creed Viking. When this came out, it was, like I said at the beginning of the video, heavily hyped. When pictures of this dropped online, people lost their mind a little bit. People on forums, people on Facebook groups, everybody was talking about it. They were like, Viking, Viking, Viking. A lot of people thought it was fake. They saw the pictures of this and they were like, oh, that looks fake. That's not real. That's not going to ever come out. And there was just almost an air of mystery around this fragrance for a while when it first dropped. The information about this fragrance first dropped. And of course, it was being compared to this one before it ever came out for obvious reasons. You've got the same general bottle style here with the same wrap, only this one being red and Aventus being black. Or maybe some people would call that a red-orange. Then of course it had the foil kind of logo for the fragrance on the front, here for Aventus, here for Viking. So before Viking was ever released, it was already being compared to Aventus, which is in essence the most popular niche fragrance of all time, maybe? Definitely of the past decade. So to an extent, Creed Viking was being set up for failure right at the beginning. just because it was being compared to a Ventus. It was being viewed almost as an Ventus killer, potentially, or the fragrance that was going to take the mantle as the king of niche fragrances from Creed Aventus. You know, it would be passed from Creed Aventus to Creed Viking. And then Creed Viking came out, and for the most part, it was met with indifference. There were a lot of people who smelled it and they said, oh wow, this is great, I love it. But they were a minority when this first came out. For the most part, people got it and smelled it and kind of shrugged and said, it's okay. And the hype died as quickly as it started. I did what could be considered a first impression of this fragrance when it came out via a little sample vial, and I kind of just filed it away in the back of my mind, and only recently have revisited the fragrance and given it more proper wearings years down the road after the hype has died away. So more of an unbiased view, I guess. And I like to think that's something I've gotten better at over the years, not being suckered in or drawn into hype and letting it color what I expect. So Viking, the fragrance, do I like it more now than I did previously? Yes. It's got an awesome throwback retro kind of vibe while at the same time being completely modern, and I dig that. It opens up fresh and aromatic. You've got a citrus combo of lemon and bergamot in the opening, along with some sweet spiciness. So you've got a little bit of pink pepper. There's also peppercorn in the mid, which is going to be different than the pink pepper. The pink pepper gives you a sweet, spicy, semi-rosy kind of vibe in the opening. And then there are also spices that are not official notes that I pick up. So there's clove in here, there's cinnamon in here, might even be a tiny, tiny touch of nutmeg in here. None of those are official notes at all, but those spicy aromatic facets work in perfectly in this fragrance in the opening. The peppermint gives off this really nice cooling effect, and then the pink pepper gives off what Creed calls a fiery aspect to the fragrance. So you have this kind of juxtaposition going on in the opening. You've got the cooling peppermint, and then you have the pink pepper, which again, a little spicy, a little sweet, rosy nuances, and all these other spices that aren't official notes. All those work together really well in the opening. I love the way it smells initially. And I should mention about that clove. If you're the type of person that's really sensitive to clove as a note, because lots of people out there are, if they smell even the tiniest touch of clove, they're gonna write the fragrance off completely. If you're that kind of person, if you are overly sensitive to clove as a note, if you hate that in fragrances, be aware that even though it is not listed in Viking, you're going to pick it up. As it dries down into the mid, the citrus dies away, the sweetness remains. So that sweetness that you pick up in the top, that's still there in the mid as well. You also get a masculine semi-sweet rose note in the mid that works in really well with the remaining pink pepper, the remaining mint, and then into the mid you begin to pick up lavandin as well. So that's going to give you a clean lavender kind of vibe with some herbal undertones. And for those of you out there who don't know what lavandin is, super simplistic breakdown, lavandin is a hybrid between two different species of lavender. So those two species of lavender come together and they make lavandin. Once you hit the dry down, you get a nice masculine, classically masculine woody base of vetiver and sandalwood that all the other notes kind of play off of. I actually get more vetiver than sandalwood, though some people out there say that they get much more sandalwood than vetiver. So I'm not sure if maybe that's just dependent on the person, what note they're more attuned to picking up. But for me, I get a little bit more vetiver than sandalwood in the dry down. All that being said though, it's not like there's a huge difference. It's not like I pick up, vetiver to the max and just a tiny bit of sandalwood. I'm just saying it's maybe slightly more tilted to vetiver for me personally. And in the dry down is where Viking is going to more closely resemble some of the aftershaves of yesteryear. For the longest time, Viking was broken down very simply, and people said Viking smells like Old Spice, like a higher quality Old Spice. I'm talking about Old Spice from decades ago. The Old Spice that originally came out in 1938, so maybe like a bottle of Old Spice from the 60s, not what you would get if you went to Walmart and picked up a bottle of Old Spice today. And I do get that reference to aftershaves and the dry down. I get it, but this is not that broken down that simply. Does it have that kind of DNA in the dry down? Yeah, I could get with that. Maybe modernized, more refined, higher quality, but sure, I get the comparison. One thing that Viking does very well, in my opinion, is it evolves. When you first spray this on, it's completely different than what you get in the mid and the dry down. It's still Viking, obviously, it's still the same fragrance, but there are some noticeable changes. The sweetness in the opening, that mint that really hits you with the cooling, some would say mentholated kind of blast, along with that spicy sweetness, all the other spices working in with that. And then as it shades into the mid and you start to get more of the lavender and more of the rose, and then into the dry down where the sandalwood and the vetiver come out. There's a lot going on here, and it smells great the entire time through. Viking is a fragrance that the first time I wore it, I did kind of write it off a little bit, probably because of the hype. It was hyped so heavily that I don't know what they could have done, honestly, to match the hype that had been built. But now, kind of viewing things in hindsight a little bit, this is an awesome fragrance for what it does. It's a classically masculine, refined, sophisticated kind of fragrance that's gonna fit in line with some of their other scents like Bois de Portugal, and to a lesser extent, something like Green Irish Tweed. To me, this one is going to appeal more to people most likely 30 years of age and up, similarly to Bois de Portugal, though I think that this one is easier to pull off in more situations than Bois de Portugal. I think this is nearly a year-round fragrance, day or night, casual, formal, or office wear. It can do pretty much anything. And when I say that it's probably going to appeal to people more 30 years and up, it's because it is a little more, like I said before, on the classic side of masculine fragrances. Now, this isn't classic masculine in the sense of something like Polo Green or your 80s fragrances, 70s fragrances that were oak moss heavy, things that might come across smelling dated. Nowadays, this is more of a cleaner, spicier kind of classic masculine scent with that bit of sweetness as well in the opening and through the mid. So I think that it could potentially appeal more to younger guys, more than some other classically masculine scents might, because of those facets that this one has and the facets that this one doesn't have. Still yet though, younger guys who are oftentimes looking for things like your Yves Saint Laurent Wise, your Dior Sauvages, this probably won't be up their alley. And when we talk about price here in a second, that could be another big detractor for younger guys out there as well. Now let's touch really quickly on performance. For me, the longevity is solidly above average, 8+ hours every time I've worn it without issue. Projection is more moderate. The projection is pretty good, I would say, through the mid, so for the first hour and a half or so. Then it starts to sit a bit closer to the skin. So overall for me, it's going to be the type of fragrance that I don't have to worry about the projection, but at the same time, it's not gonna be a monster. So it falls in line with about what I would expect for a midline Creed in terms of performance. I have read some people online say that they get terrible performance, under 2 hours of longevity, and in every wearing that I've given with this, I've never run into anything like that. So I can just tell you guys from my own personal experiences, projection, moderate, not bad, not amazing, and longevity above average. And now to the pricing, which is the enormous drawback for Creed Viking, and it is enormous, truly. This one runs for $495 retail for this size bottle, 100 milliliters. If you wanted to get the smaller size, 50 milliliters, to save a little bit of money, that's gonna run you $355 retail. And if you wanted to get a 250 milliliter flacon size, in case you wanted to decant some of it maybe, that would run you $820. This is extremely expensive at retail. And honestly, at those prices, Creed has priced themselves out of probably 95% of the population of the US, maybe more. And honestly, I think that's what Creed wanted. Still though, at that price, it is a no-go for me. At retail, I would not replace Creed Viking if I lost this bottle. I'd be a bit bummed because I actually really like this fragrance, but I wouldn't buy it at that price. As of this video, the best place to get Creed Viking price-wise is going to be Max Aroma. You may not believe me, but feel free to price compare. After a 10% off discount, which Max Aroma gives for any order over $150, this is going to be less than half of retail. 50 milliliters would be $176. This size, 100 milliliters, would be $194, and the 250 milliliter flacon would be $318. Now that is still not cheap, but it's less than half of retail. And of all of the major discounters, that is the cheapest price that you can find this at as of this video. And in case any of you out there are worried, yes, Max Aroma is completely legit. All of their fragrances 100% authentic. It's where I got my bottle here, and this one is 100% legit. So yeah, guys, Creed Viking has grown on me. Every time I've worn it, I've loved it more and more and more, especially the opening. For whatever reason, that's just really got my attention now. When I smell the opening of Viking, I just love it. Do I enjoy Viking as much as Creed Aventus or Green Irish Tweed, my two favorites from the house? No, it's not at that level, but I would easily put this up there with something like Royal Oud or Silver Mountain Water. It's right up there in terms of how much I enjoy this one. Now, as far as the $50 gift card giveaway, if you want to be entered in that giveaway, leave a comment below saying that you want to be entered, and also let me know what your favorite Creed fragrance is. 1 week from this video being posted, I will select a winner through random comment picker and put that person on my community tab on my YouTube page. And whoever wins, just reach out to me and I will shoot you that gift card via email. So good luck to every single one of you out there that enter, and put it toward good use. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for me today. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. Thanks for all your support. I'll see you guys again tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys.